Hi, Adams. We are on Unit 8, Lesson 15 today. For your reading lesson, you're going to be taking your unit assessment. So I'm going to read the passages to you, and then you're going to answer the questions on your own. Try the best you can. Go back into the text to find the answers. It is an assessment, though, so we're just trying to see what you know, so just try your best, okay? So the first story we're going to read is called The Escape from the Hispaniola, and this is told by Dr. Livesey. Much of Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson is narrated from the first-person point of view of young Jim Hawkins. However, many events occur when the narrator is not around. For example, while Jim is exploring the island, the other crew members are embarking on adventures of their own. In the story that follows, Dr. Livesey is the narrator. He explains what happened to him and the other men while Jim was off exploring the island. It was about 1:30 when the Hispaniola reached Treasure Island. 13 men were to go ashore, and 6 men were to remain on the Hispaniola. Shortly afterward, we learned that Jim Hawkins had sneaked into a boat and gone ashore. It never occurred to us to doubt Jim, but we were worried about him. We were not sure we would ever see him again. Hunter, one of the squire's men, and I decided to go ashore as well. We steered a small rowboat ashore and discovered a stockade. I recognized that it would be a splendid fortress if ever we needed one. An abundant spring flowed with fresh water, and small holes dotted the walls for weapons. It would be easy to defend the place against an entire regiment of experienced soldiers. While we were inspecting the stockade, Hunter and I heard a blood-curdling scream. It was the anguish cry of a man who had been injured seriously. My first thought was, Jim Hawkins is gone. Hunter and I ran to the small boat and rowed back to the Hispaniola. The squire and the others had heard the cry as well and were all shaken. It became evident that we could no longer stay on board with the pirates. We determined that it would be in our best interest to relocate to the stockade Hunter and I had discovered. We set up Redruth, one of the squire's men, as a guard. We provided him with 3 loaded muskets and a mattress for protection. Hunter brought the landing boat round under the stern, and I loaded her with powder, muskets, bags of biscuits, kegs of pork, my medicine chest, and other essential supplies. Then all the remaining good gentlemen climbed aboard and we shoved off. The small boat was gravely overloaded. On board were 5 grown men, and 3 of them, Squire Trelawney, Redruth, and the captain, were over 6 feet tall. Several times we took on a little water, and my breeches and the tails of my coat were soaking wet before we had gone 100 yards. Besides sinking, we were worried about the one other possible danger, the cannons on the Hispaniola. The pirates did not have muskets, but they might fire one of the cannons. We had heard that Israel Hands was Captain Flint's gunner. We kept an eye peeled on the ship, and soon noticed that they were, in fact, preparing to fire upon us. Trelawney, barked the captain, stop these men. Israel Hands, if possible. Trelawney was cool as steel. He calmly primed his gun. Careful, said the captain, we mustn't swamp the boat. The squire raised his gun, the rowing ceased, and we leaned over to the side to keep the balance. Trelawney fired, but we had no luck. He had missed Israel Hands. The other pirates were too preoccupied with priming the cannon to notice the shot. Suddenly, boom, the cannon fired. The ball rolled past our heads, we ducked, and our sudden movement caused the boat to rock and tip to one side. Water began to gush into the boat. It sank by the stern quite gently in 3 feet of water. Since the water was shallow, we were able to stand up and rescue some of our supplies. We carried the supplies over our heads to keep them dry and waded ashore as fast as we could, leaving the small boat behind along with half our powder and provisions. To add to our concern, we heard voices drawing near us in the woods along the shore. We figured it must be Silver and his crew. We soon realized that we were in danger of being cut off from the stockade. At the same time, I was wondering about poor Jim's fate, when suddenly I heard a voice from the landside. Doctor, Squire, Captain, hello, Hunter, is that you? Came the cries. I ran to the door in time to see Jim Hawkins, safe and sound, climbing over the stockade. All right, you're going to pause me now and answer those questions, and then you're going to come back to the video when you're on the second passage. So part 2 story is called Pirates, Parrots, and Pieces of 8. One of the most well-known characters from Treasure Island is Long John Silver's parrot, Captain Flint. The talkative bird has become so iconic that many people believe every pirate had a parrot. Some people think of parrots as the symbolic pet for pirates. Historians say there was probably not the case. It would have been difficult to carry a parrot with you everywhere as Long John Silver did. Also, when pirates' food ran out, a pirate might have been in danger of becoming something other than a pet. However, many details about parrots in the story are accurate. Parrots are intelligent and really can learn to repeat single words and short phrases. If a pirate did have a pet parrot, it might have learned to mimic a phrase like pieces of 8. Parrots are native to tropical areas. Many varieties are found in Central and South America. There are more than 350 species of parrots in warm climates all over the world. It is thus possible they would be native to the Spanish Main. Parrots typically live 30 to 50 years, but some species live more than 80 years. That's not quite the 200-year-old Captain Flint was said to be, but still a long lifespan for a pet. Pieces of 8 were Spanish coins made of silver. They were first created a few years after Christopher Columbus landed in the Americas. Each piece of silver was worth 8 reals, or Spanish coins, which is why they were called pieces of 8. Reference to pieces of 8 in Treasure Island is thus historically accurate. The Spanish conquistadors who came after Columbus conquered much of South America. In Peru and elsewhere, they set up large silver mines. They had the native people dig out the silver ore, then they melted the ore down to make coins that pirates were eager to sell. Although Spain issued pieces of 8, people in many other countries used them too. The silver they contained was valuable, so people were willing to accept the coins as payment. People used pieces of 8 in the United States until 1854, just before the Civil War. The United States began minting its own coins in the 1790s. They stamped pieces of metal, creating coins similar to pieces of 8. Back then, a US dollar was worth 8 bits. 2 bits were equal to a quarter. Later, the United States switched to a monetary system in which a dollar represented 100 cents. However, people continued referring to bits even after the new system was introduced. Pirates were much more interested in loot than in taking prisoners or fighting others. The amount and kind of violence was likely different from the violence in Treasure Island. Instead of fighting violently, pirates generally held prisoners for ransom or marooned them. Pirates often set captured crews free with their ships after stealing their goods. The so-called Golden Age of piracy began in the 1500s, during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. This Golden Age lasted until the early 1800s. Around that time, the United States and European navies ended the practice. The time period during which Treasure Island was set probably coincided with the Golden Age of piracy. Thus, the timing in the story could have been accurate. However, contrary to how piracy was portrayed in Treasure Island, it was not a fun and adventurous way of life. It was actually a serious business, not something a young boy like Jim Hawkins would have wanted to be a part of. All right, go ahead and answer those questions, and then head over to skills, and I will read those to you as well. Bye, Adams.